maybe international consortium on standards to like agree on anything is a 20-year process. So like I don't think we're in danger of this stuff evaporating anytime soon. XML, Russell, how long is XML been used?
XML has been used for almost 30 years, but based on other previous technologies.
So it's an evolving medium, and yes, it will require upkeep to adapt to the shifting and technological environment. But I think as long as the material is open, developers will continually be pushing the ball in that direction as they're evolving. And my particular project at the Open Source Data Trust would be built in such a way that the data is separate from the form. So that the form needs to change, the data stays intact.
And so can I ask just a last, and then I'll shut up. I'm wondering then, how do we recruit more people like you and Russ, the people who actually get the technology, to be working in our field? Because it seems like that's actually, when it really comes down to it, that might be the largest barrier, that there are so few people who get it on that high of a level in our. There's a lot of us like Lisa and I who understand what you mean when you say HTML5, but I can't code in it. So I'm wondering, like, how can we get more people like that to work in our world?
Maybe people want to work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. For me, I find actually newsworthy. It's a very interesting observation that there's a pressure group. I don't know what the right word is. The interest group in developing support for technological advances in the world of Jewish life. I'm sitting here listening. This is very interesting. I'm watching it in front of me. And then as a remark, flash piece of advice about, well, why isn't there funding for this pressure passion group? It's in a category of a philanthropic product that runs against the grain of philanthropic interest. For example, you can't fund Jewish studies for its own sake. You can fund the Holocaust chair, you can fund 20 scholars that come to teach Israel, whatever. But you cannot get money for that. You can't get money for JTA or actually any Jewish journalism project. So things that help you can't get money for research. I know I make good living from research, but I never get money. I get money to advance the institutional interest of the agencies that want me to do research on them. The difference, right? So, who cares about Tanakh? I mean, there's a bunch of Orthodox people who might care about Tanakh, but it's got to be that. So any of this stuff has got to be hitched to a wagon or hitched to the horse this is the wagon, and the horse is the interest. The major interest of donors today is keeping our next generation Jewish. Everything has been perverted or has been aligned to that purpose. So things like that should be justified on their own regard, like travel to Israel, fix the world, whatever. They're all bought at limud. I mean, like these are good things, right? There's Torah Lishma, there's Israel Lishma, Tikkun Olam Israel Lishma. All these activities are funded on the hope that somehow they will make our young children and our next generation more Jewish. So, given that that's the environment, somehow you have to catch someone's imagination to believe that if we funded the national or the international XPML, what do you call it, ABC laboratory, whatever, that somehow that is going to make our next generation more Jewish. To me, that's the only thing that can possibly work. Otherwise, then Zaretsky and the rest of you will be spitting out wonderful ideas every year and watching ideas kind of go and come and leave and never else. You never got a show hopper, but did you?
I'm working in a very institutional place. We have a website that has a list of our funders, and that's how we get people. So you'd like a list on them. I know anonymous donors. I think many donors are going to be recognized. I can't put a flat on spreadsheet and XML and be like, this word was given by Dan Kresge on Chris Engagement. I can't do that. And
don't underestimate it.
tell you, Russell Mead. I'll say standing, that's fine, however I want. Two things, sorry. I don't suck up anything. Two things. First, regarding what we have to create, if we have to create. Part of the issue, many of these things actually already pre-exist. So we talk about Dan talking about how am I going to chant this particular thing and embrace all these other things. The audio files exist on board. They exist for over now almost 1992 they were created, so we're talking about a good 20 years or so. 18 years, good number. So they existed for 18 years in a format that no one can necessarily attach right now, but that format can be modified, adapted, upgraded. The problem is, and I've gone, don't tell anyone even though the podcast over here, I hope no one can board it here, I've downloaded those files, I've converted them into a format that is useful for me and useful in that. I can't post them on the web. I can't post them on the web because they are the property of work, their particular thing. If I were to create an application for use with it, I can't release it because I'm in gross violation of copyright. Which is kind of ironic in some way that our text is copyrighted in a way that we can't actually use or modify it. And so I can't actually do anything with that text. Even though it's technically feasible, even though I can technically create it, even though I have a mock-up where you touch words and words actually, light up. But you can't do it. And so what do we have to do? We actually are in the process right now of recording the entire Tanakh all over again, in the trope all over again, because to replicate it, because no one has done it, no one wants to share resources. And that's part of one of the things that it is. You go to Mechel Mal, right, which is the most hysterical thing too. If you look at the copyright statement at the bottom, they say you can't use this. Or you can use this in your own personal thing. God forbid you copy this and put it on your own website because this is our copyrighted material.
And then a 3,000-year-old text that's public domain and property of the
And
So what happens is when you create a digital copy of a work, that digital copy, per copyright law, is its own new copy, and therefore that digital copy comes with all the other copyrights that exist with it and are unique to it. So even amongst all of that, even if you don't create it, and even with all the things that are still technically out there, you still can't even get a hold of it because people are so, one of the things that was just before, are so concerned about holding on to their own product, and likewise, even those people who have more open-minded, open-standard issues, you still have to hold on to what you have because then it means that you can negotiate with something else, with someone else, something that you have. And so I think there's a problem with that also.
But can I just respond?
Oh, yeah, quickly, Dan,
and the remark that was made about, donor recognition. I thought the big mitzvah was to give anonymous information, right? Is it a mitzvah to give if your name has to be attached to it? And if so, then what are you actually funding for? Because you care about the Jewish people or you care about your own ego? And if the line between, like, the future of the Jewish people and keeping us stuck in the past is the ego of we should have your name recognized, then we're getting nowhere. End of story.
I just want to respond to I'm Karen Reed-Medway from Hebrew College, the simplest way to put it. But I think, Steve, what you raised was somewhat challenging to me, trying to sit in a room and in a space where what I'm holding in mind is technology for the 21st century in Jewish ed, is that I actually think that one of the things that's implicit is what this panel is talking about and what the work is of any of us who are invested in this is challenging this presumption that within sociology that Jewish education is for Jewish identification is becoming something, and that what they're putting forth with even just the subtle transformation of, well, let's start looking at anonymous donations and elevating that notion and not allowing ourselves to compromise the name donation is part of this implied idea that, no, in this world, it's about belonging.